A new Life is Strange game charges $30 for early access, and fans aren't thrilled. The adventure game is letting people who pay extra the first two episodes weeks in advance. One of the cool surprise announcements from this year's June Xbox showcase was Life is Strange Double Exposure. The latest entry in the supernatural adventure series will return to original protagonist Max Caulfield as she solves the murder of her friend by jumping between alternate timelines. While that's an exciting prospect for longtime fans, the game has been mired in a bit of controversy as Square Enix has rolled out details about its relative plans. Like previous games in the series, Double Exposure will be an episodic game. However, it won't be rolling out periodically like the first few games did, and will instead follow True Color's format of releasing all the episodes at once. Well, with one catch. The game's $80 Ultimate Edition will let you play the first two chapters on October 15th, 2 weeks before the game's October 29th release date. Fans are criticizing this decision, thanks Eurogamer, both because it's incentivizing players to pay up for early access and because it will open up fans who can't afford or don't want to pay extra to spoilers for 2 weeks. The move would almost feel like an homage to the original game structure if it wasn't also kind of gross. I feel like Square Enix locked this awesome feature behind a paywall, Upper Camel Case wrote on Reddit. Episodic releasing inside the original Life is Strange is such a great experience when it originally released. Now, only the people who are willing to pay a lot of money for something they don't know if it's even good are going to be able to experience it. They are preying on the most devoted fans, not nice. It's clear Square Enix is banking on fear of missing out to get people to fork over the extra $30, as even their marketing copy on Steam highlights how this lets people be part of the discussion around Max's latest story. Don't miss your chance to join the conversation around this unforgettable supernatural murder mystery, the Steam page reads. Double Exposure isn't the only video game in the world that lets people pay more to play early, but 2 weeks is much larger head start than these arrangements usually allow for. However, it does have the advantage of not being an online game like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which had server trouble during this early access period, rendering it useless after all that money spent. The trade-off that is that inevitably someone will get spoiled on those first two episodes because they couldn't justify the cost. On top of this, Double Exposure is also falling into another tiresome modern video game release trend in that its $60 collector's edition doesn't actually contain a copy of the game. There's some neat stuff in the package, including a vinyl soundtrack and art book, but Square Enix's store page puts in big red letters that the actual Double Exposure game is sold separately. If you want both this big box of goodies and to see Max's next chapter unfold, you'll have to fork over an extra $50 or $80 if you want the early access. Honestly, a $110 collector's edition isn't even that expensive by modern standards, but the unnecessary obtuseness in how it's sold is the issue. Collector's editions that are just boxes of swag that don't include the game aren't actually editions of the game at all. Ultimately, these are big company decisions, separate from whether Double Exposure will be any good or not. But it's not the best look for a game that's clearly banking on fans' love for the 2015 original. The Life is Strange series has become known for hopping between protagonists at this point, and going to Max is likely to draw back in old fans. So it's a shame it has this went down right out of the gate. So, what do you think about this early access period being 2 weeks before the game instead of like 3 days?
2 weeks is a pretty long time to wait for the original release, and yeah, like that's I would say it's an insult as far as like the quality of the story, whatever. It's just that you're breaking up the community at large to be synced in with what you want gamers to see and experience. Because once until the earlier fans, the ones who get the 2 weeks prior to, they get the first chops to it, and it's it's not gonna look well for the regular gamers to just wait till every few weeks, few months per episode, like it once was originally for Telltale games and all. It's like the Wolf Among Us or the Left 4 Dead series, stuff like that. So, but Life is Strange, of course, yeah. I mean, it's good altogether. Lots of drama, lots of action. I hear, especially after Chapter 1, Chapter 2 and 3 of the original remaster versions. But yeah, it's iffy. You divide up the fans, so.
Yeah. Um. I mean, obviously people could curb their excitement. They could obviously miss out. They would have to just watch not so many not watch streams where they know people would be playing the game from through early access if they didn't want anything ruined. So like any YouTube videos or Twitch streams that had the game that mentioned the game in any way, they would basically have to avoid if they couldn't afford the early access. And I do think $30 for an early access condition is ridiculous. I do think it's ridiculous to have a game edition that gives you like the art book and the soundtrack on vinyl, but doesn't actually give you the game. Um,
Hmm.
so that's also ridiculous. They're trying uh yeah, so I mean I totally agree with this. I just hope this is not a prelude of things to come. Um because like I said, I can't speak for Life is Strange 2, but other than that, the Life is Strange series has been awesome. Don't tell me this is going to be the flop, you know. Um
Yeah.
so yeah, so I mean, but yeah, I don't agree with what they're doing with these uh new collector's
Mm.
editions. I mean, like I said, 2 weeks. I mean, you could play the whole game in 2 weeks, even if it's just the first two chapters. I mean,
Yeah.
so I really don't see the point in what they're doing, and it could divide the community between the ones who could afford it and the ones who couldn't.
Hmm.